Nolan, good to see you. A really important topic today, how to protect your retirement savings if markets plunge. If you're within 5 years of retiring, either before or after you are at your most vulnerable financially, retiring in a down market presents very unique challenges, specifically a risk known as sequence of returns risk. Can you explain that one for us?
Yeah, thanks, Erin. And sequence of returns risk is a pretty interesting phenomenon that not many people, I guess, consider when they're considering retirement.
Yeah.
And it's not only what the average return is in your portfolio, but it's how those returns hit your portfolio and in what order. So what we study when we study sequence risk or sequence of returns risk is oftentimes a decade like 2000 through 2010, obviously a pretty rough decade. But should you have withdrawn 3-4% of your portfolio at the same time that your portfolio is going through a very rough period like it did during that decade, oftentimes the fact that your returns were so low for such a great amount of time in early retirement affects long-term the next couple decades after that. So if you were to retire in 2000, withdraw money, you probably never really made it too far out of 2008 or fully recovered. And, money's been depleting slowly ever since.
Right.
So
Right.
it's how the returns hit your account and in what order. And most of the time it's bad when the negative numbers hit first.
Yeah, right. All right. So now let's talk about our tips then, real quick. Number one would be building a cash cushion.
Yeah, and a cash cushion, that's something where it can either be a short-term cash cushion for a planned expense or a cash cushion for protection against market volatility or the sequence risk. What we're often talking with people about is, okay, in year 1 or 2 or 3 of early retirement, what are your planned expenses? Where is your money going to go to improve your home so that it's comfortable for the next 10, 20 years? Planning those things out and making sure that the cash cushion is set aside alleviates your need to sell assets if the market corrects at the same time.
Right.
So if you experience bad returns in early retirement, keeping a cash cushion can help alleviate your need to sell the assets once they've depleted. So it allows you time to recover.
Tip number 2, consider changing the balance of equities and fixed investments in your portfolio. But it is a delicate balance because you still need enough money invested in equities to combat inflation.
It is. And a lot of people traditionally will flock to bonds or fixed income for safety, but safety has looked a little bit different recently as well. Bonds have been underperforming for the past few years. So if your portfolio is 50% stock, 50% bonds, you may be displeased with that. But certainly the stock portion is meant to keep up with inflation, earn you 5, 7, 10% per year. The bond portion is meant to protect you. Protection looks different now, I guess, like CDs pay higher rates than they used to. Money market funds pay higher rates than they used to. So stocks and bonds as a mix, I think, is a little bit going out the door, but could certainly come back at some point in the future.
Right. Tip number 3, you may want to adjust your spending. Is this another way of saying to adjust your withdrawal rate?
It can be. Adjust your spending might mean taking out a lower percentage than you thought you would based on performance if you do have negative returns over the first couple years. This could also mean the timing of your withdrawals. So adjusting your spending or adjusting the way that you take money out of your accounts doesn't need to mean the dollars, but it might mean one year you take it out all at once because the market's been very good. And then another year you take it out piecemeal because there's been a correction. So, just being flexible, I think, is really the point there. Adjusting your spending, how you spend, how you withdraw.
As painful as it might be, you also may need to work a little bit longer. That can help with income, of course, but also delaying when you claim Social Security.
Yeah, both are true. And a lot more people are working a little bit longer for both of those reasons and more. I mean, health and social aspect of it. And I mean, just to keep busy. It's good to keep busy. So working a little bit longer can factor into it. Your goal, hopefully, is by the time you're retirement age that you are not working to overcome this sequence of returns risk or not working to overcome a lack of funds. You are working because you want to. That's really the goal of a retiree. You want to be there. You don't need to be there so that you can stop and be retired when you're ready.
And then last, speaking with a fiduciary advisor, it can help ensure that you retire when you want. And an advisor can help design a plan tailored to your goals and designed to protect against volatility and, again, sequence risk that we talked about.
Yeah, and fiduciary being a very key operative
Yes.
there. That's a good word to include because a fiduciary is required to act in the best interest of their clients.
Right.
There's not unfair compensation or strange bias in the recommendations,
Hmm.
or at least they'll disclose any conflicts of interest prior to doing any business with them. So consulting with an advisor, making sure that you go over what is my cash position, what is my spending plan, am I overly risky or not risky enough for my future spending plan? Those are all things that you should talk with somebody about. Find somebody independent, find someone who has your best interest in mind and who's not going to have bias in their recommendation.
Right, because this is the world that you live in. So these are risks that not a lot of DIY investors may know about. So if somebody wants to come to you to get that financial plan that is unique to them, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, Erin, they can call at 616-301-2581 or go to our website, which is cornerstone-rp, and we have a contact us box at the bottom of the page.
All right, Nolan, thank you.
Thanks, Erin.